What's going on, everyone? This is Luke from South Beach Sports, and in today's video I'm going to be talking to you guys about the main reason why I think the Milwaukee Bucks won't win a championship this season. Now, before today's video, I want to remind you guys to go ahead and like and subscribe if you enjoy the video and if you enjoy content like this. We here at South Beach Sports produce 4 to 5 videos a week, and if you enjoy it, go ahead and subscribe. Turn on post notifications so you don't miss a single video. For my other YouTubers out there, you know how the algorithm is sometimes, so a like would come a long way. Anyways, let's get into the rest of the video about the main reason why I think the Bucks won't win a championship this season. Now, my main criticism of the Milwaukee Bucks has nothing to do with the roster construction or the talent level that they have. General Manager Jon Horst has done a fantastic job of building a championship level roster with playoff caliber players that give you a lot of lineup versatility. Obviously, their biggest acquisition this offseason was the addition of Jrue Holiday and that trade with the Pelicans. Holiday has played amazing this season, and he played a very important role in that 7-game series versus the Nets. He did struggle a lot in Game 7, but he hit a lot of big-time shots down the stretch, including some big-time defensive possessions on Kevin Durant, including that last possession that you guys know so well, in which he forced an air ball. I also love the offseason acquisitions of both Bryn Forbes and Bobby Portis. Forbes played a tremendous role in that Heat series, scoring 60 points over the 4-game series. Over the course of the Nets series, he didn't have a necessarily fantastic game, but he does provide a lot of floor spacing, and he's a very fantastic shooter. Bobby Portis is also a great shooter at the power forward / center position, and while he didn't receive any rotational minutes in the Bucks' final 3 games versus the Nets, I do expect him to carve out a role against the Hawks in the upcoming Eastern Conference Finals. Probably my favorite transaction over the course of the offseason and the season that Jon Horst has made was the PJ Tucker trade. A lot of people were saying that the Bucks overpaid for Tucker and that they had to give up a 2023 first-round pick for his services, but if it wasn't for Tucker, the Bucks probably would not have won against the Nets. Tucker received the bulk of the Kevin Durant load. He guarded him for a lot of the series, and he just continues to play such a major role, not only on the court but in that locker room. Also, I want to point out that this video is not going to be a Giannis Antetokounmpo criticism video at all. He's really coming to his own as a playoff player, as that has been a major criticism of his over his short career. He probably played his best overall playoff series in the semifinals against the Nets. So, now that that's out the way, the main reason why I believe the Bucks won't win a championship is because of their coaching. Mike Budenholzer is not a good coach, and he's been exposed time and time again. A lot of my issues with Budenholzer, or Bud as a lot of people call him, stem from his lack of nuance with his offensive game planning and play calling, his questionable rotations, and his matchup decisions on defense. On the offensive end, Coach Bud relies way too much on his big 3 of Jrue Holiday, Giannis Antetokounmpo, and Chris Middleton, and their offense often gets very stagnant because of this. In a lot of second halves of games, their offense is just relegated to clearing out one side of the floor and having either Holiday, Middleton, or Antetokounmpo operate in a quick 1v1 scenario, and this produces very mixed results. Without having elite iso ball players who can operate in that mid-range area like Kevin Durant and Kawhi Leonard, it gets very difficult. An example of when this iso ball play style did work was in Game 6 when Chris Middleton dropped 38 points in a pivotal victory. That's when it worked, but you cannot count on players like Chris Middleton and Jrue Holiday to consistently produce in an offense like this. An example of when this iso ball heavy play style did not work were in both games 2 and 3 against the Nets, where the Bucks failed to score 90 points in both games against a very subpar defense. When the big 3 isn't hitting their shots, the Bucks often undergo very bad cold stretches. One of the actions that I do like a lot that Coach Bud runs is when he has Chris Middleton as a primary ball handler and Giannis Antetokounmpo as a screener. I've always been a big proponent of having Antetokounmpo as a center more often. I think, and this is just a bold prediction, that if Giannis played center primarily, he would be one of the most dominant players in the NBA. So anyways, back to what I was originally saying about the play that I like. When Middleton is a ball handler and when Giannis Antetokounmpo is the screener, if the defense chooses to drop off this, then you have a 2-on-1 situation with Giannis rolling to the basket and Middleton looking to either score or pass it to him. If the defense switches, then you can slip Giannis, and this could lead to easy buckets for him. One criticism I have of the Bucks players, and not necessarily of Coach Bud, is that when Giannis slips to the basket, they often don't look at him enough. And this is especially a criticism of Drew Holiday. He needs to start giving Giannis more looks at the basket when he's slipping. He's a little more cautious when it comes to this, so I think he needs to be more aggressive with his passing. Coach Bud's offense just looks so anemic when compared to the likes of both the Suns and the Clippers, who are a lot more passing and cutting heavy. They use a lot more variations within their sets, and there's a lot more versatility to that offense. There's a lot more adjustments. They can hunt mismatches a lot more consistently, and that's probably the main reason why I would pick both the Clippers and the Suns. Injuries aside, I don't care if Kawhi is playing or not, I would still pick both those teams over the Bucks in the 7-game series. Now, my next criticism of Coach Budenholzer is something that he has improved on a lot, so I have to give him credit for that, and that's his rotations. We saw this over his time with the Bucks, and even before that with his time with the Hawks, and that his rotations were often very bench reliant for no reason. We saw last year in the bubble that the Bucks stars and the Bucks starters would only play like 34 to 35 minutes at most in key elimination playoff games, which is insane. In the playoffs, you should be playing your star players 43 to 44 minutes a game and not 34 to 35 minutes a game. We see this year that Bud is allowing his star players to play a lot more. We see Giannis playing over 40 minutes a game for the first time in his career, which is encouraging, but I do still have my questions when it comes to Coach Bud's rotations. These questions stem from his lack of adjustments, or that he's too late in making adjustments. In that Nets series, I thought he played Brook Lopez way too much at times. I give credit to Lopez, he played tremendous in Game 7. But there were times in this series where the Nets were attacking him and playing him off the court, especially because in pick and roll sets, Brook Lopez has to drop. He's not mobile enough to be a switchy type big. Yes, he has to play in drop coverage, which is fine, but when you have Kevin Durant killing you in the mid-range, you have to make adjustments, and he eventually did, but some of these adjustments came too late. I am so curious to see how Coach Bud's going to form his rotations in the upcoming Bucks vs. Hawks series, as you need to have a big on the floor against Clint Capella. The Hawks love to use an overabundance of pick and roll sets. Trae Young's probably the second best pick and roll ball handler in the entire NBA besides Chris Paul, I would say. So they love to use these pick and roll sets with Clint Capella or Onyeka Okongwu rolling to the basket, and Trae Young either passing it to him, shooting his signature floater, or attacking the basket. So we'll see if the Bucks continue to play pick and rolls how they have been playing. Then I see Trae Young absolutely torching the Bucks. But if the Bucks decide to switch up their rotations, maybe you have Giannis at center, guarding Clint Capella. Maybe you start PJ Tucker instead at the 4, and this just gives your lineup a little more versatility when it comes to drop coverages. You can switch sometimes, and I think the Bucks will have to show the Hawks a lot of different looks in this series, because what they're doing right now is not working, and I think the Hawks will end up torching the Bucks if Coach Bud is stubborn with his rotations. Also, quick shout out to my boy Nico. He gave that Giannis on Clint Capella idea, so go ahead and thank him for that by following him on Twitter. The link to his Twitter will be down in the description below, so go ahead and follow him. Now, my last criticism of Coach Budenholzer has to do with his matchup decisions on defense. It took Coach Bud 5.5 games to finally switch up his matchups. I was just getting angry watching this Bucks next series and watching Coach Bud refuse to put Brook Lopez on Blake Griffin, who was sitting there in the corner for the entire series. Instead, Coach Bud put Brook Lopez on Bruce Brown, who the Nets were using as a screener in a lot of these pick and roll scenarios with Kevin Durant. This would provide Kevin Durant with so many opportunities to pull up with his mid-range shot. If Brook Lopez took that away, you had an open floater for Bruce Brown, which was a good shot for him. And it was just maddening to watch Coach Bud not make any adjustments. That's still a major criticism of his that I have to make. He makes adjustments with his matchups so late. I am so curious to watch how Atlanta Hawks coach Nate McMillan will choose to dissect and expose Mike Budenholzer's weakness when it comes to his rotations and with his matchup decisions. This is just going to be such a fun series to watch, and I feel like a lot of people are writing the Hawks off. I've seen a lot of Bucks and 4, Bucks and 5 talk on Twitter, and I think this series will be a lot more competitive than people think. And for those reasons listed below, I do not think the Bucks are serious championship contenders with Coach Budenholzer. They could prove me wrong. I'm not saying the Bucks can't win a championship, but I'm not giving them that high of a chance when they have a coach that is so late and so inconsistent when it comes to his matchup decisions and his rotations. I would love to see the Bucks hire a coach like Rick Carlisle in the offseason, someone who already has championship experience, or a top-end assistant coach like Chauncey Billups with the Clippers or Becky Hammon with the Spurs. So that's going to be it for today, guys. Go comment down below your thoughts on Coach Bud's coaching and what you would do if you were him in this upcoming series against the Hawks. Just to remind you guys, go like and subscribe if you haven't already. Thank you so much for watching the video. Have a great day. And with that being said, I'll catch you later. Peace.